Today we're at Bingham & Jones Midlands Development Kitchen. So thank you for sharing the facilities with us today, Johnny.
No problem.
In a short while, Johnny Bingham, along with the development chef Glyn Yarnall, product developer Aaron Given, and my colleague Richard Lovell, will take us through the recipes they have developed specifically for our Flex Forward concept. I'm also absolutely delighted to once again be joined by Indy Core of Plant Futures. Indy has been a wonderful participant to our previous webinars, including the Flex Forward Univar Solutions demonstrations at Zest restaurant in the UK, as well as the recent sessions at Food Matters Live and FIE. So thank you very much today, Indy, for being with us.
Thanks, Tanya.
Yeah. So, Johnny, what are we doing today?
Okay, so today Glyn will take you through 3 plant-based recipes. First one will be a burger, the second will be a chicken GOUJON, and the third will be a Thai fish cake. So, should be good.
Fantastic. Well, let's get started.
Hi, I'm Richard Lovell from Univar Solutions. I'm the Technical Sales Manager.
And I'm Aaron Given, I'm the Senior Product Developer at Bingham & Jones. But today we're cooking up an incredible plant-based burger using some really interesting Univar ingredients. And I've got with me Glyn Yarnall.
Hi guys, great to be here today. I'm Senior Development Chef here at Bingham & Jones, and today we're showcasing some Univar Solutions ingredients. The first product we're making today is a plant-based burger. Okay, so within the plant burger we have various ingredients. We have the methicellose, a plant protein, various seasonings, so nutritional yeast, salt and stocks, plant-based vegan fat, a little bit of water, starches to help bind, and also natural colourings.
And that's really interesting that you touched on the methicellose at the beginning, and that's already in an emulsion, isn't that right?
Yeah.
Can you just sort of talk through how that's made?
Absolutely, yeah. So basically it's taking the methicellose powder, blending that with sunflower oil, ideally using a hand blender or a Thermomix, and then gradually adding iced water, ideally 5 degrees or below, and then just emulsify that on fast speed until you get this basic texture.
And as you're making that up, Glyn, methicellose, Richard, is obviously a really key ingredient for plant-based meat alternatives. Can you sort of just talk through what it's doing to the burger?
Absolutely, and it's a really good question, Aaron. I mean, we're seeing a massive demand for methicellose in the market because of the functionality it gives to the end product, meat alternatives. It gives a great texture and finish, eat and bite to the meat alternative product. And it also adds a lovely juiciness to the plant-based solution as well. We're seeing a massive demand for that in the marketplace.
Yeah, and obviously, as you can see with Glyn there, it mixes in quite easy, does it, Glyn?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a small amount, around 200 grams, but ideally you'd mix this in a kind of Hobart or food blender.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I guess the other thing is it's completely white. So is there no flavour or no sort of smell or anything from it, Glyn?
No, I think it's quite obviously a natural product. It does the job. It gives you the texture that you require. But from the flavourings which we're going to add now, obviously add the kind of dimension, the flavour dimensions, the umami flavours and the seasonings.
So almost like a blank canvas, really, for when you're creating a burger.
Yeah, I mean, this is the basic matrix, with the protein and the methicellose, and then obviously you then build the building blocks in there with the key seasonings and the vegan fats.
And Richard, are you seeing like high demand for methicellose now? I mean, as it was over like the last 12 months, 18 months?
Absolutely. There's a massive demand for meat-based alternatives. As the marketplace is growing, and we're seeing something as functional as this, it can really mimic meat, and because of the end cut when you reheat the product, it gives such a juicy and moist end product. It's really great addition. So then, just a couple of the ingredients you put in there. Obviously, the sort of the yellowy product you've got there, Glyn, is a textured pea protein.
Yes.
And what is that doing for the matrix, Glyn?
That's basically giving you that kind of meat, beef texture that you'd expect with a real burger. And obviously, once it sits and sort of soaks up all those ingredients, ideally you want to leave that for a good couple of hours, just to sort of set and infuse all the flavours and the colour. But yeah.
So that's really interesting. So that's obviously giving it almost like a mincy kind of.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And pea protein obviously is massive at the moment.
Absolutely.
But you know, in terms of other proteins that are being used in the textured vegetable kind of arena, are there other ones that you guys been looking at?
Absolutely. I mean, we're very fortunate that the range is massive. I mean, we've got a whole array of plant-based alternatives and various protein levels, anything from about 11% up to isolates that are going up to 88%. And some of those products within that range as well are clean tasting. So you don't actually get any flavour profile from the pulse element that's going to be there. So there is a growing concern that using an alternative to meat often has a flavour bearing impact on the end product. Some of the products that we have in our range don't, and it's a really, really great addition to the range.
So, I mean, you've obviously mixed it up there, Glyn. I mean, it looks incredible. You've got a real separation of the key ingredients there. You've got things like the fat, which I'm guessing is giving it that juiciness.
Yeah, as you'd expect with a real burger, you know, the fat that kind of seeps out of a good marble.
And then
piece
you've
of meat.
used like a natural flavouring as well, which,
absolutely.
what's that doing?
Nutritional yeast and other ingredients are just adding seasoning and flavour. A burger obviously has a certain amount of flavour, but so this is kind of counteracting that by adding just different dimensions of layers of flavours within the burger, you know, to kind of create that real burger.
And flavours, Richard, obviously you guys have got a massive array of these things.
Absolutely.
You know, just talking about...
Where do we start?
That's it, you know, and maskers as well. You know, we mentioned that some pea may have a slight note to it, but obviously flavours play a really big role there, don't they?
Absolutely. I mean, we're seeing a massive demand for, you know, flavour technology and other such products. And one of the things we're very lucky with working what we consider to be the premium distributor in this area. And you know, if you're wanting a particular flavour or masker, you know, there's loads within that portfolio that we can really offer. So, you know, please reach out and we'll discuss this in further details with you.
At this stage, guys, what I would normally recommend is that we then shape this into a burger, so around a quarter pounder, you know, 120 kind of grams. I'm just going to, excuse me for a second, I'm just going to check the fridge, and I've got one I've made earlier.
So whilst Glyn's just grabbing that out now, obviously that looks dead easy to create, Richard. I mean, these ingredients, would you say, are more like building blocks?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we do obviously see a lot of people, you know, wanting a bespoke product, and one of the things that we can offer at Univar Solutions as well is some key recipes. So with things that we're presenting here today, you know, we can present those to you at a later date and share some of that information just to get started.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point here, because these are ingredients that create a building block for you know, a burger or for a chicken, or would you say for a fish, and you know, and you guys have access to hundreds.
Absolutely.
I think the beauty of this recipe as well, you can make meatballs, you can make mini sliders. So I think the versatility, as you touched on earlier, they can be made into other things, you know. And
just as you're cooking this up, Glyn, I think what's amazing is that this does sound and cook like a burger, which is great. And one thing that we found with some of the early versions of plant-based burgers was that you'd get a lot of sort of water seeping out, fat seeping out, and I know that starch plays a massive part in this.
It does. Right? That's a good question, Aaron. Yeah, one of the things that we've got within our range is a potato fibre, and potato fibre is really good at managing moisture.
Yeah.
But it doesn't manage it so it makes a product dry. What it does, it makes it so it locks in that moisture, and then on the reheat, it really makes that product sort of really succulent. And the drip that you would typically get from a product that was baked or in a frying pan would eat dry, it retains that moisture and really has a really nice eat at the end of it.
Yeah. And that looks amazing. Yeah. I mean, you get a real, that kind of Maillard reaction that you'd almost get where you do with meat is incredible, Glyn.
It's very clever, and that's why I think it's clever development from a chef perspective. It does look, and it does reduce the fat that's coming out of that burger. It does look like a real burger. That's the key thing. And like the Maillard, it does colour lovely in the pan. And, you know, about a minute, 2 minutes each side. It's very versatile, but it's a very good product.
And I think this is the real key thing with functional ingredients. There's a perception that it's almost creating a chemistry set. It's not. You know, functional ingredients can add a lot to a product and really take new products to the next dimension.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, these are ingredients that we would use back in our chefing days if they were available to us. These aren't weird and wonderful ingredients. They open up a huge window of opportunity for retail. where they freeze perfectly. I know we touched on methocell at the beginning, but it has, am I right in saying, a really good freeze for like stability?
Absolutely. I mean, all these products that we're looking at today, we see a massive demand for people wanting that freeze-thaw stability because they want the shelf life, the additional shelf life, and something like that can really add another dimension to the manufacturing environment. Because you want to take it home, you want to put it in the freezer, and you want to eat the product, and it wants to eat exactly the same as what it would be
exactly.
at the first day it was manufactured.
So just talking about how long has that been in the pan for, Glyn?
I'd say we're looking at nearly a minute and a half.
Yeah.
So I would 2 minutes. And
Yeah.
I think at this stage you could finish it off in the oven, or you can leave it on a lower heat, just decrease the heat down and just let it finish off to reach core temperature. But yeah, I mean, it feels, just touching that now, it actually feels, you've got the fattiness, you've got the texture. It feels like a burger.
No, I mean,
It looks fantastic.
And it's a shame that
Yeah.
you can't smell things on video because it smells incredible too.
And I think that's where the clever
yeah.
kind of seasonings come in, where the beef notes, the marrow notes, they kind of give you that impression that it is real beef as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which is,
That's amazing. So are you going to put this straight in the oven for us, Glyn, or are you going to cook it straight through in the pan?
I think I'm going to flash it through the oven.
Great.
And then obviously we can look at assembling it as a serving suggestion, as a finished product.
Perfect. So Glyn, the burger's almost done.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been in there 2 minutes just to melt the vegan cheese on top. So I'll bring that out now for you.
Wow,
It looks fantastic.
doesn't it?
As you can see,
It's pretty good, yeah.
the cheese just melted, just encapsulated the burger itself, and now I'm going to assemble it. Simple burger assembly. So we'll start off with a little bit of the onion chutney at the base, so barbecue chutney. Spread that all over.
Really looking forward to eating this.
Yeah, I think what's great to see is that there isn't a lot of fat and water all over the tray. That burger stayed that's almost the same shape as it went in, the same size as well.
Absolutely.
So
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, from a functional point of view, it shows that all those ingredients are doing their job. Yeah, I think I echo you, Richard. I'm very much looking forward to trying this.
Yeah.
So we're going to go the whole lot.
And how long? You say about 2 minutes in the oven.
Yeah, just
Glyn,
to melt the cheese. Obviously, it's come out the pan. It's still hot. It's still nicely seared. It's got a nice colour on top. And then just to melt that cheese, just for a couple of minutes in the oven.
Wow.
A few pickles on there, and maybe one or a little squirt of bit of mustard on there as well, just to finish it off. So a nice stack.
You've done this before, haven't you, Glyn?
Yeah, a few times. So yeah, just give that a little bit of press, skewer there, and there we have our burger, all finished.
Fantastic.
Brilliant. Let's have a look at it.
Yeah, I'll open it up and see what we think of the inside. So as you can see, fairly high stacked burger, but you've got the textures, the colours. It does look like a real burger. Would you like to try this?
Yeah, I'd love some. Yeah. It sounds amazing.
That's all right. There you go, guys.
Richard, I'll let you do the honours.
Try not to get too messy on your shirt.
Thank you.
Wow, this looks great. I think this is what is interesting is that obviously it has only taken sort of 4 or 5 minutes total cooking time, Glyn.
Yeah, so it's so easy, just like a normal burger.
Oh, fantastic.
And it's just all the work's gone into the actual making of the burger itself, so that knowledge, that technical, it just, and the skill of the culinary side.
It's amazing. I think what's incredible is that the texture, it tastes like extremely high quality beef. And obviously this is a plant-based, but it hasn't got a rubbery note to it, has it?
No, it's great.
Yeah, no,
exactly, and it just does what it says on the tin, doesn't it?
Tastes
Absolutely.
amazing. I'm going to go back in for another
I
bite.
feel like I'm going to get this around my mouth, actually. It's great.
Glyn,
Cool.
thank you so much for this.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah,
No, it's
lovely.
great.
Brilliant. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Glyn, thank you again for the burger. It was incredible. What do you got for us next?
It's a pleasure. Next up is the plant-based GOUJON, chicken GOUJON. So in front of me I have the key ingredients which go into this particular one. So we have our natural plant-based protein, methicellose, vegan fat, various natural seasonings in there as well, and salt flavourings. A little bit of water as well, just to help break it down and mix it together well to create that almost little patty form.
That's great. And obviously we're using methicellose again. It's so versatile. We've used it in the beef burger. We're using it now on the chicken. Richard, in terms of strength of grades of different types of methicellose to achieve different textures, what do you guys have? What can you get access to?
Yeah, wide array. And again, you know, you mentioned about textures. You know, certain grades that we've got on offer will give you slightly firmer or softer eats. And again, that's obviously very much dependent on the end product you're trying to develop. So again, you know, make us aware of it early on within the brief, and we can get something that's suitable for your needs.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you know, we're talking about different textures, you know, in terms of you know, something like a chicken goujon, Glyn, versus say a chicken nugget. You know, the texture is obviously slightly softer in a nugget. You know,
Yeah.
is that something that you've identified with using these types of methocells?
Yeah, I think if you want a kind of a popcorn chicken kind of texture, then yeah, you could play around with the ratios of methicellulose, the water ratio, oil ratio to methicellulose, or just add extra water into the recipe. But this particular recipe here could literally, you could form this into many other formats. So burger, a skewer almost as well, and you could still use this for nuggets. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And then obviously looking at the TVP, you know, we're talking about different grades of TVP. You know, obviously when you have a beef burger, there isn't just one type of beef burger on the market. You know, there are premium Angus burgers, and you know, we're trying to sometimes replicate different types of textures. Is that the same thing you can get with TVP?
Absolutely, and it's interesting you touch on that. You know, within the range, it's not only different grades, but different base sources of them. I mean, you know, we're doing a lot of work with people that require something that's pea related, but also there's things like fava bean, lentil, and each of those give their own sort of specific characteristic at the end for the end user. And again, within that, they all have different protein levels as well, which again has a massive impact on the end eat. So it's interesting to see that, you know, we know that there's a massive demand for plant-based alternatives, and things like this are, you know, a great addition.
So it is almost like we are using different cuts of meat, but in this way we're using different types of vegetable proteins to create different textures.
Absolutely, very true.
Which is really interesting, and it really harkens back to that point where this is a very culinary experience. You know, it's all in the chef's hand. You know, Glyn, you've obviously made that mix there.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a small batch, so normally, yes, you'd mix this into a blender of some description, whether it's a paddle mixer or a robo coupe. But yeah, by hand, it mixes really well. But as you can see from the texture of that, that's pretty much it, really. Normally, you let this sit for at least an hour or two, so it soaks in all of the flavours really well. And then what normally I do is then form that into little 25-gram pellets, or 15-gram pellets, sorry. And then that would then be passed through a kind of batter system, so through a pre-dust, which could be spiced and flavoured, and then into a batter mix, a vegan batter mix, and then into breadcrumbs, gluten-free breadcrumbs.
So just, I know that you've got a little bit of one I made earlier in the oven.
Absolutely.
Just as you're touching on that, I know we obviously mentioned starch previously, but you know, obviously starch, Glyn, is quite important. You know. Absolutely. I mean, starch, and particularly fibres and things like that. You know, there's a whole array of different things that are available on the market, and we're very lucky to have. Starch will obviously add binding and stability over shelf life, but also fibres are really good in plant-based alternatives, because what they do, they're great at managing moisture and fat. And that's one of the key things that you want to do for a plant-based alternative. You want to obviously lock that moisture in, but you don't want the drip loss on the baking tray on reheat. So those sort of products are a great addition.
Yeah. So basically, guys, what I've served up here is the goujons itself, which have been reheated in the oven at 180 degrees for at least 5 to 10 minutes, and then simply just a lemon wedge and a little garlic aioli just to serve with it. But it's versatile, it's entirely up to you what you serve it with. You can serve it with a spice mayo or something.
It looks amazing.
Yeah.
Would you like to try it, guys?
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it looks great. And obviously you mentioned before that, you know, this mixture could be just pan fried and served as like a chicken burger, for example.
A chicken burger, you can add spices to it, so you can create what you want out of it, almost like a kofta idea as well.
Yeah.
So have some Middle Eastern spices through there. But
It's so meaty.
Yeah,
but
got a
the
lovely
texture,
texture.
I think it
And the
does
smell.
represent chicken really well. And it's very hot.
Mm. Yeah, thank you.
No, it's incredible, Glyn. Looks amazing, tastes amazing. Thank you very much.
That's great. No, thank you guys. No,
Thank you very much.
No,
Thank you.
brilliant. Thank you.
Indy, many consumers are actively looking to reduce their meat consumption. How do you see that evolving in the near future?
Yes, a lot of consumers now are looking to reduce their meat consumption just a little bit each week generally. So that's predominantly within red meat, white meat, processed meats. Just so what we need to do really is just help them on that part of the journey.
Indeed, and meat alternatives are seeing such a fantastic growth, but there is still a lot to go after, as the flexitarians are indeed driving this change.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, at the moment, the plant-based market is still establishing itself across Europe. The UK is a slight step ahead, I guess, in some ways, but we're seeing double-digit growth across most categories now within the alternative space. And I think the top three really being pies, pastries, sausages and burgers, seeing the largest increase.
Indeed, yes, in the meat-free segments, but of course
Exactly.
we will be discussing the fish-free segment as well.
Yes.
And it's fantastic, isn't it, to see all these new brands coming into the market?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one statistic I was looking at is, so if we look at the number of MPD launches we've seen, 9% of brands didn't even exist pre-2020. So the scale of innovation coming into the industry is pretty phenomenal, and we're seeing a lot of that growth coming from new brands.
And as I understand, but give me your view, the significant growth is in chilled and frozen plant-based, isn't it? And what about the ambient grocery?
Yeah, so chilled and frozen, predominantly chilled, has been leading the way initially for the plant-based space. Now we are seeing some movement within grocery, there's still more to go. What's really important within grocery actually is that we think about the total meal solution. So where you have a chilled meat alternative on centre plate, what are then the grocery components that you can put with that? So that could be sauces or gravies, for example.
Absolutely, that's when we're talking back about the culinary innovation as well as the sort of dining at home experience, so important for families, bring everybody together. And how would you summarize the market is evolving?
The market's moving at pace, but absolutely. It's moving into the space of health, nutrition, taste and texture, pushing the boundaries on quality. So in various different directions, I suppose, whilst it still establishes itself. And indulgence and new product offerings play an absolute key role.
Absolutely, and hopefully we have demonstrated it today with the recipes that we have created.
Glyn, thank you again so much for the planned chicken. It was incredible. What are you showing us now?
Now we're showing the Thai fish cakes. I have all the components in front of me here, broken down. So individually we have the natural plant protein, methylcellulose, a vegan fat. We have some key aromatics in there as well, which you'd associate with a Thai fish cake. So ginger, a little bit of lemongrass, a bit of lime leaf. We have a little bit of chili, spring onion, a few kind of natural ingredients just to help seasoning, give the umami note. Fresh coriander, fresh Thai basil, a little bit of lime juice, a little bit of water to help break it down, the methylcellulose to give that kind of consistency, and finish off with a little bit of seaweed in there as well.
Great. So just as you're mixing that through, you mentioned seaweed. Richard, obviously seaweed is something which has kind of come to the forefront in the last sort of couple of years. It's quite exciting ingredient. I've been working quite a lot on it here at Bingham & Jones. I understand that it's got great sort of iodine enhancing properties for people who are sort of they're removing meat from their diets.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's not only that. I mean, it's a really key source from people that don't eat meat, and the highest actually. And you know, in that there's so many other benefits that we know of as well using that type of product. It can enhance flavours through an umami sensation in the product. We also know as well that it can help reduce blood sugar. And you know, the list is endless about the benefits from a health perspective. You know, even from the perspective of healthy growth in children, which is key, and particularly in during pregnancy as well. So we know it's a really key ingredient that shouldn't be overlooked.
I mean, and that's really important because it makes our job as developers so much easier when we can use an ingredient which is instantly recognisable from a consumer, you know, standpoint. You know, we've done a lot of work here. Obviously, Glyn can kind of echo this, that you know, we've been using seaweed in like almost like a taster box that we've developed for Univar.
Sure, yeah.
We've been using it in seasonings, in snacks. You know, it's a really exciting product.
Yeah, exactly, and versatile. You know, you've said there's a whole raft of different products that you've just mentioned. But it can be used in a whole array of different products.
I think, Glenn, obviously from a chef's point of view,
Yeah.
you know, in terms of using seaweed and the sort of development that you've done there with the Thai fish cake, what has it kind of really brought out of that?
Well, I think because obviously we can't use fish sauce, which you'd associate with a Thai fish cake, we kind of replace that with the seaweed, which is kind of a natural kind of taste of the sea almost.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
But in a pleasant way as well, you know, as well as adding the seasoning level and
Yeah.
also the flavour.
Yeah.
So for me, yeah, it works really well in this type of product.
And obviously, you know, we've used the Methocel in the burger, we've used the Methocel in the chicken. You know, we know that this is a really versatile product. We're using it again here, we won't touch on it too much, but we're using it again here to help create that sort of meaty texture that you lose when you remove the fish from it. On the TVP, we've got different textures here. I mean, in terms of TVP, could we say create like a cod, like a battered cod almost?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the versatility of these products that we've been talking about today is very much endless. And one of the things that we see at Univar Solutions is, you know, it's pushing the limits of these functional ingredients. And I think the nice thing is that you guys are showing today, you know, functional ingredients are really taking chefing and the culinary experience to the next level. You know, it really is. It's a great experience.
Okay, so that's the mix. I mean, that's just 200 grams. Obviously, you'd mix this in a bowl mixer or blender of some description. But there's the actual mix itself, which I think comes together really well, really colourful, vibrant.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, it's great.
And it smells really good as well.
Yeah.
So obviously this is, you know, being a Thai fish cake quite classically, you know, it doesn't have a breadcrumb on the outside of it. You could obviously, you know, tweak this and turn this into an actual fish cake and breadcrumb the outside of it. People with, you know, gluten-free allergy, you know, intolerances, for example. Richard, are there crumbs that you have in your arsenal that we could use for this?
Absolutely, and I think that's the beauty of dealing with Univar Solutions. The portfolio is massive, yeah, and just as you touched on there, you know, we've got solutions that can really look to really, I guess, no brief is going to be too much of a challenge for us. The ingredients that we've got through our VeggieCrumb range are great and a welcomed addition. And like you say, you know, if you're wanting to look at something slightly different, you know, within that range, we will more than be able to help you.
And in terms of these crumbs, are there different kind of grades, different sizes?
Yeah, and with those as well, they will give you slightly different textures.
Yep.
Which again, you know, maybe something that you're wanting a slight eat, you know, slightly different eat. So again, yeah, you know, please reach out and we can obviously get one that's like what you want.
I mean, we've done quite a lot of sort of plant-based sausage development, and we found that using crumbs quite key for that, to replicate that almost that rusk effect that you'd get in a traditional sausage. Is that something that you get a demand for?
Yes, there is, yeah, and we can, you know, in whether it be like you're showing here in a fish cake alternative, you know, whether it be a meatball, you know, something like that. These crumbs are great to use them in a wide array of different applications.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, Glenn, just talk through kind of what you're doing and it's the process of cooking it, etc.
Yeah, well, simply just obviously mould it into 25-gram little patties, pan fry it shallow fry it in a little bit of oil, sunflower oil. And then to get that lovely colour on each side, you know, making sure obviously it's hot all the way through. But as you can see, you can't smell this, but as you're cooking it, you guys can smell it.
Smells
But
fantastic.
Yeah.
again, the ginger coming off there, the chilli, and again, that you can smell the seaweed in the air.
Yeah.
You can almost, it's in the air, isn't it? But it's a very simple recipe, but again, with the similar matrix, which works really well to create that Thai fish cake.
Yeah, it looks great. I can sort of see some stuff just out of shot there. What are you serving with it?
Today I'm going to serve that with a little Thai chilli dressing and a little pickle salad with cucumber and carrot ribbons with a little pickling liquor that I've made today as well, just to kind of give it a little bit of character and cut through the fattiness a little bit as well of the Thai fish cake.
Sounds fantastic.
Right, yeah, can't wait to try it. So how long are you saying for these sort of fish cakes, Glenn?
I'd say no more than a minute each side. Again, just to give that lovely colour. In fact, you know, as long as I've got that nice colour on each side, perfect.
Yeah.
So I think all I'll do is just pull that off the stove.
I mean, for me, you can almost sort of see this in like a plant-based sort of vegan dim sum range, Richard. I mean, you know, it almost seems endless, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You know, we're just scratching the surface here today. And
Yeah,
I think,
exactly.
like you say, you know, if you've got a new development brief that's coming through, you know, this is something that you can look at, and it may be an ideal solution for your needs.
Yeah, sounds great.
So just a little pickle there. just to finish it off with a little wedge of lime as well, sorry. A little sprinkle of sesame seeds on there,
Beautiful.
just to finish it off. Okay,
They smell great. They look great.
and they're ready to serve, so I'm just going to put maybe 3 of those in there. Like that. Then maybe just a little dipping sauce there, just to finish them off. Okay, pass that over to you guys. Bon appetit.
Thank you very much, Richard.
Fantastic.
I'll let you do the
Thank you very
honours.
much. Oh yeah, look at the texture on that. Looks
Yeah,
fantastic.
Looks great, doesn't it? It's so juicy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it really holds together well, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you're trying to replicate, normally you'd have prawn or you'd have a white fish in there, but I think that gives a good texture difference.
I think one thing that we haven't touched on is sort of layering of flavour, and that's again, flavour's key in
It's
this.
key, and that's the culinary
Exactly.
side that comes in there, where with knowledge within the Thai cuisine and other cuisine types, you can apply that to anything really. It
Absolutely.
doesn't have to be just.
And
meat or
plant-based
fish.
products are developed by chefs, really.
Absolutely,
Not
absolutely,
scientists.
yeah.
They have
Yeah.
to be developed from a culinary point of view.
I think in conjunction with the scientists as well, that's a good marriage.
Yeah,
where you've
definitely.
got both sides, where the clever development within the protein itself and the cellulose and things, but also then getting the culinary skill involved,
Oh,
chef
absolutely.
insight, and how to bring that to life.
Yeah.
Glyn,
Absolutely, yeah.
thank you very much again for today.
It's
Yeah,
a pleasure.
It's been amazing.
Been
Pleasure.
Thank
amazing. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
So let's talk about the fish alternatives market. It's still relatively small in value, yet pre-pandemic, the past 4 years saw sales growth of 133%. That's remarkable.
It is, and you're right, it is still a small proportion of the plant-based space actually. Within the UK itself, we think it's about 90 million in size, which considerably smaller versus where meat alternatives are. But it is growing, still seeing double-digit growth, and we'll continue seeing that trajectory for a while to come yet.
Yeah, and there are a number of different fish alternatives formats, isn't there? Starting from fish cakes to paellas to fish fingers and fisherman pies, which sometimes it's not even known for some of the consumers outside of the UK. With regards to frozen fish alternatives, would you say that this is a segment that plays a key role, followed by ambient?
Absolutely, yeah. And when you look at the fish category itself, the freezer space does take a predominant part of that market. So it's a natural flow then for plant-based fish alternatives to really own the fish category, the frozen fish category. As one of their starting points. And then moving into ambient as well, so things like canned tuna fish, for example, plays a very important role, and then going into the chilled fish space where you'll see some blends with like tuna mayo, for example.
We all love tuna mayo, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah. What would you say is perhaps the key challenge within the fish alternative market?
I'd say actually texture is a real key challenge. So if I compare this again to the meat alternative market, where we see in the meat alternatives, they very much push the boundaries in terms of texture, so that very meaty texture coming through. Fish still has a bit more of a way to go at the moment. So what we need to get to with fish alternatives is that white, sort of like flaky lightness that you have within a fish product in general. So that's probably the next level of innovation I'm looking out for now.
Yeah, so I hope you did find it quite interesting, the recipes that the team has developed and demonstrated just now.
Oh yeah,
so all absolutely on the ball. It's flavour, texture, the mouthfeel. I feel we cracked it.
Yes, yeah.
At Univar Solutions, we know that what consumers are looking for is the classic seafood favourite, which is easy to prepare. Which formats can it be? It can be the fish cakes, the fisherman pies, prawns, tuna mayonnaise, for example.
Yeah, really are. And what's important within fish alternatives as well, actually, is the family favourite. So there's familiar products that you were just talking about, so things like fish fingers and fish cakes, for example. But here, brands can play a very important role. So some of those leading category brands within fish already have the established level of trust with consumers. So actually, those leading brands within the categories, with them moving into the plant-based fish alternative space, is really helping us on that transition.
Absolutely. And talking about or touching upon the essential nutrition, what a great role that the fish alternatives can play in that, because fish is considered the healthy source of protein and essential nutrition.
Yes, it is. And this is the other element that's very important with fish alternatives. Fish is seen as already being a healthy protein, like you say, which is also nutritious, so omegas and iodine, etc. So taking that and replicating that part of it within fish alternatives is quite important, and looking for that natural enhancement versus the fortified enhancement where possible.
Thank you, Indy.
Thanks.
So Indy, let's talk about the big bets. And what are the big bets? It's those razor sharp, big opportunities that brands should really go after to be successful to launch the commercially strong product. What do you think are their main areas of focus?
The few that I probably pull out at this stage, one is fats, so plant-based fats. There's been a lot of attention within the plant-based meat element in terms of the textures, for example, but I think the fats now are really shifting into gear, I guess. So looking at that flavour that you get from the fat within meat, and then also the juiciness, the succulence, and how it also caramelizes as well when you cook sausages or burgers. So one being plant-based fats. Then we have the race towards the fish texture that we spoke about earlier as well. So that's that white, flaky, light fish texture that you can get. And then natural nutrition versus fortified. So where possible to be adding naturally enhanced nutrition into some plant-based alternatives, meat alternatives.
And can you share any top tips for the brands who are looking to enter this fantastic, exciting market segment, or who would like to perhaps expand some of their product lines?
So I think for brands that are already within this space, quality is paramount. So within the growth of plant-based, everybody's pushing boundaries on quality. So be really careful, like critique your ranges is one thing that I'd say, and be quite honest. If your quality's not quite there yet versus the market, go chase after it, because consumers will be pulling out, looking out for some of the most superior quality products within this market. Then one thing I particularly enjoy to do is take a walk around a store and actually just observe the plant-based aisles. And every time I do that, I always find it quite interesting, just seeing how shoppers are shopping those fixtures particularly. And for some consumers, it's actually the first time that they're having a look around. So it's a nice experience to observe and see how shoppers are experiencing plant-based aisles. Generally, they're getting busier as well, so hopefully you'll see the busyness coming through. And then another really nice thing to do is, because we've been spending so much time indoors, is to take your team or take your suppliers out and go and experience some of the new restaurant openings or some of the new menus with plant-based category, and I'm pretty sure that most people will be coming back with some new ideas and new innovation to kind of fill up that pipeline.
That's absolutely true, and this is in fact what we have done as a team. Is we did go on that food safaris, and just how much innovation can really drive then the consumer choice. And exactly as you said, now the shelf space that's been dedicated in supermarkets, for instance, to plant-based is incredible, and long may it continue.
Yeah, exactly.
Fabulous. So thank you, Indy. We're certainly working on that, and what a great opportunity also to gain inspiration from other European markets, which hopefully we have demonstrated today, talking about some slight differences within market trends from other European countries.
Yeah, thank you, Natalia. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you.